How about it, y'all? You got the Lake Seminole Ramblins podcast. I'm your host, Chris Taylor. Thanks for listening. This episode is brought to you by Nichols Lures, handcrafted to perfection. Check out their fine selection of baits at www.nicholslures.com. In this week's episode, we will bring you the usual fishing report, get the answers on those fish sores we talked about last month with Georgia Department of Natural Resources biologist Emilia Omerberg, ensure that your boat passes a safety inspection this summer, and we'll go over and get the tournament report with Ryan Higgins and do a little rambling. So sit back, get your coffee and get your snack, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, water conditions for y'all. The Flint River has its normal slight stain, 87 to 89. Spring Creek is clear, 88 to 90. Fish Pond Drain is clear, 88 to 91. Chattahoochee River, slight stain, 87 to 89. Intense heat has settled over the area with heat indexes over 110 degrees. It was 107 degrees on my house on Fish Pond Drain. I believe that was Friday. Y'all, it's hot, so be careful out there. Water levels stay pretty steady from 76.3 to 76.7, with level being 76.83 and rising due to incoming rainwater at publication. All right, fishing report, bass. Bass fishing is settled in its typical summer pattern. Fish can be caught early in the morning on flukes, worms, swim baits, and we're finally getting reports of a decent topwater bite starting to turn on for us. Anglers are reporting catching fish at 10 to 11 in the morning as well on topwater swim baits, even with that heat on us. Frog bite is also starting to pick up around sandbars with topped out really good grass on it. What I do is kind of pull up, watch for activity. The fish will tell on themselves if they're there. If they're in that grass, they're going to move around. You're going to see them jumping and stuff. Bass are being caught in the thick grass in the shallows and on the ledges in both river arms. Idle down the channels using side scan until you find a school and go to work. Crankbait, spoons, Carolina rigs. Those are the three favorites to use on the ledge. Crappie fishing and speck fishing continues to be good with limits being caught all over the lake. It's a good time to fish Seminole for specks as they are still feeding up on shad fry and grass shrimp. Throw a 16th ounce jig with a brown and chartreuse to mimic shrimp, or throw a 16-ounce jig with shad color to mimic shad fry. I'm seeing tons of fish on the ends of the grass clumps in about 8-10 foot of water, and there's also plenty to be caught hanging around structure points where shallow water drops off into deep water with timber close by. Your brim will continue to bed into August or September. Predictions from the old timers are maybe into October as well this year. It just depends. We'll see what happens. Every moon cycle, so a full moon or new moon, they just continue to bed on about every sandbar you can find. I mean, you just drive down the lake, you can smell them. There's also reports of deep bedding brim at 8 foot right now. So these are big fish that are bedding at like 8 foot. What's wild is catfish right now, y'all. Catfishing is absolutely on fire. It's rare that you ever hear me say that, but I've been getting reports from all over the lake on big limits of catfish being caught. Our buddy Bubba Baker caught 6 big catfish on a Texas rig, kind of playing with them with live scope, picking them off. Met another gentleman at the fuel pump who caught a limit of catfish yo-yo in a rattle trap. He said they weren't even looking for catfish. They were kind of trolling around for specks, and they ran into a big school of cats and limited out real quick. So I personally been seeing giant schools of them on the river ledges hanging around high spots as well. You can differentiate them on your graph by looking at their hook echo. So a bass, of course, depending on your sensitivity, but if you turn your sensitivity down to about medium, a bass will have a real hard signature return in the center of his body, whereas a catfish's kind of hook echo it's red all the way down because they've got a harder bone that runs down their body, whereas a bass, it's picking up off his swim bladder. So that's how you can tell. And man, I've been seeing a bunch of them everywhere. Tim Trone reports of catching big cats from 11 pounds up to 25 pounds. I mean, y'all, he sent me probably 12 pictures of a variety of sizes. There's some big ones being caught. And he told us to use cut shell cracker or cut brim on the bottom and hang on. He said it wasn't hard to catch, and they're biting if you find them in the right spot. All right, a few weeks ago, we got a call from Emilia Omerberg. She's a biologist with the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. She was nice enough to offer her time and knowledge to give us any insights on unusual things we may be seeing on the lake. Well, if y'all remember a few months ago, we were talking about these sores that some of the fish had, the red sores, kind of white looking like blisters. Well, Emilia has that answer for us. So we're going to bring her on and get educated. All right. Hey, Emilia.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, I can't complain. Won't do no good anyway. Don't nobody want to listen. How's it going with you today?
Pretty good, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking time. I know you are on vacation right now, so thanks for taking time out of your day to come on the show and talk to us.
Absolutely, glad to be here.
So last week we talked kind of one-on-one through text about these sores that we were seeing, and you started giving me some killer information. Can you share with our listeners kind of what this is that we're seeing?
Sure. So it's most likely red sore disease, which is really common here in the Southeast. We see it mostly in times of high stress, for example, post-spawn or in the summertime when water temperatures are pretty high. The actual disease itself can only be identified and kind of verified by lab testing and looking at it under a microscope. Not by me, but by, someone. We have a partnership with the lab in Auburn, and they do some of this testing for us.
Okay.
But generally what the infection is actually it's a co-infection. So two things happening at once, basically. And it's a ciliated protozoan and a bacteria called Aeromonas hydrophila. And so what usually happens is the protozoa attaches itself to the fish first, and it kind of reproduces and forms a colony. And then this colony of protozoa secretes an enzyme that breaks down the scales on the fish, which makes a really nice inviting habitat for the bacteria to come infect afterward.
Okay. Yeah, because we usually see that a lot during the spawn and after they're done spawning. So that would make perfect sense. Are they okay to eat when they've got this going on?
Yeah, they are. So generally the sores are pretty localized to the skin of the fish. And sorry, I've got a dog barking here.
It's okay.
And as long as the fillets are cleaned pretty well and cooked, there shouldn't be an issue with eating them.
Okay.
But you guys probably know in general, you should be cooking all your freshwater fish so that you don't spread parasites or anything when you do eat them.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to make sushi out of largemouth. I hope not.
I hope not. If you do, don't tell us. We don't want to know.
Keep that to yourself, please. What about a treatment? Is there something that y'all can do to treat this, or does it kind of work its course, or what's the deal with it?
Yeah, in general, it tends to resolve on its own when the water temperature drops and other stress is reduced on the fish. There is, you can treat it in like smaller systems like hatchery ponds, for example, but the treatment is like mixing certain concentrations of chemicals in the water.
Okay.
And that's just really not feasible in a big system like Lake Seminole.
37,500 acres. There's no way.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a lot of chemical.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem in general to affect like the body condition of the fish, like how fat and round it is, basically.
Right.
It just seems to make them look pretty gnarly. And then as temperatures drop and into the fall, it seems to resolve itself.
Okay. So big question is, will we see more of this in the summer? I mean, we've got 90-degree water temps right now.
Yeah, I would say most likely yes. It sort of seems to be a cyclical thing that happens most summers.
Okay.
Not just in Seminole, but also up in Walter F. George, and Tired Creek and other places like that. But, it seems to make them look pretty gnarly, but in general doesn't seem to affect their, behavior that much otherwise.
Well, good. That's good news. So at least it's not something that's going to hurt the fish. It's just something they got to deal with. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that is fantastic information. Now, I joked around with you and told you were going to regret reaching out to us, but that's something that me and my buddy Randy, my mentor, we have talked about that for years and years, and it's really nice to get some clarification on what that is. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it's pretty common around these areas, but there is not a whole lot of literature on it. So, there's a few articles out there that really have tried to identify, exactly what species of bacteria and exactly what species of protozoa is out there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty limited. So it's a common thing, but not a lot of research has been done on it.
Interesting. Well,
yeah.
Thank you for providing that insight for us. And we won't hold you up too much longer on your vacation. Let you get back to seeing your folks. But thank you so much for coming on and let us know. And I guarantee you we'll have something for you here soon that you can come back and, and share some more of your knowledge with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to do it anytime.
All right. Thank you so much, Emilia, for that valuable information. So we can all get a little more knowledge about what's going on the lake. And speaking of knowledge, there was chatter going around about some new game wardens or law enforcement performing boat checks on the water last weekend. And talking with some guys, there was some confusion about what was and was not required equipment in your boat. I've just heard so many different things, like you have to have a paddle and you have to have a rope that's tied to your throwable that's got to be X feet long and all this. So I thought this would be a good thing to touch on. And we're just going to go straight to the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, the Law Enforcement Division's website. We're going to pull up their chart. And especially with 4th of July weekend coming up, we make sure we got everything that you need by the state of Georgia law that's supposed to be in that boat, so you ain't get a ticket or have any kind of problems during the holiday. Because if you're out on 4th of July, they are too, and you better be following the law. So, all right, so here's what you got to have. Now, keep in mind, these are for boats 16 foot to less than 26 feet. Okay, and these are for boaters 18 years of age or older. So if you're younger, there's a couple more requirements that you got to have, but we're just going to talk about grown folks from boats 16 foot to less than 26 foot. All right, so you have to have your certificate of boat registration. You have to have your decals displayed. So your Georgia State decal has to be on there, and your registration numbers have to be on there. You need a PFD, so that's a life jacket, type 1, 2, or 3 for every person on board. And then you have to have a throwable, so that's a PFD type 4. Now, this is where the confusion comes in. Somebody was talking about a rope that had to be tied. No, there is nowhere in any of these laws for this class that we're talking about that states you have to have a rope of X amount of feet tied to that throwable. That is not in there. So you just have to have the throwable, and it has to be on board. So a type B1 fire extinguisher, got to have that. It's got to be charged, and it can't be expired. Ignition safety switch. So 2 episodes ago, we talked about the new safety switch law. It is required on 2020 and newer. Most of these boats have a cutoff switch. You don't have to worry about it, but it is required that you are wearing that when you're operating the boat for a 2020 model and newer. You need a backfire flame arrestor. That's if you have an inboard. You also need a ventilation system, only for an inboard. And you need a muffler for an inboard. So those 3 things, one of them's a blower and one of them's an arrestor. You got to have those if you have an inboard, like a jet boat or a ski boat or a cabin cruiser or something like that has an inboard motor. Muffler, obviously, that's all going to be done through the water. Outboards have all of this stuff in one package, so you don't need to worry about any of this. All right, this is a big one. Horn, whistle, or bell. So you got to have some kind of audio, I guess that's how you say it. Audible, there it is. Wow. Audible distress signal. So it's got to be a horn, a whistle, or a bell. It's best practice just to have a whistle, even if you have a horn on your boat, in case that horn doesn't work. So if you get pulled over on the water, safety inspector, whatever, boarded, and they want to hear your distress signal, and you got to hit that horn switch and it doesn't work, you're probably going to get a ticket. Just go ahead and have a whistle just in case. And this is required on federally controlled waters, which Seminole is a federally controlled water. It is a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers lake, so it is federally controlled. And the last thing now, I don't know if a lot of us have this, so we need to make sure that we all have one. You need a VSD, a visual distress signal, for day or night. So if you're running at night, you got to have nighttime ones. If you're in day, you got to have daytime ones. Again, this is a federally controlled water thing, which Seminole is. So do not get caught with your pants down and not have flares. I think they're like $20 at Academy. I didn't even realize I didn't have any until I started looking at this list here. But yeah, with the holiday coming up, the chance of you getting boarded or safety inspected is very high, especially with the accidents and fatalities we've had on the lake this year. So make sure that you're in compliance. It's very important to know this law by heart. It's even wise to take a screenshot from the Georgia Department of Natural Resource website. So it's on your phone. It's there. There's no questions. Sometimes you can be stopped by overzealous agents or new agents fresh out of the school that may not know it 100% or are nervous or whatever the case may be. They might try to give you a hard time about equipment that's they say you should have, but it's not required by law. So that just make sure there's no confusion. It's clear as day. You can reference it right there. Hey, I have everything I need. There's no confusion. Everyone's on the same playing field. So make sure it's not only make sure you know exactly what you're doing, but make sure you're prepared in the event of the emergency. It's definitely not worth getting a ticket. It's definitely not worth not having your stuff when you have an emergency. So, if you forget anything, this is your opportunity to get it right, because I know I've got to make an order. All right, we'll go to Ryan for the tournament report. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, man, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm good. I won't complain. Nobody wants to hear it. What's up with the tournaments, man?
All right, so we're going to play a little catch-up this week. We didn't have the tournament report last week with Father's Day. And so we'll start from last Saturday. We had two big events last Saturday. We had the West Side, which is 3 fish limit out of Big Jim's. First place was Ingram and Enfinger, which they're regulars up there at the top on that trail. They had 17.67 pounds. Second place was Mr. Stewart. He had 17.21 pounds.
These are 3 fish limit, right?
These are 3 fish limits.
3 fish limit, 17 pounds, y'all. That's not like Hartwell pound. We're talking about 3 fish. It's crazy.
Yeah, 3 fish. Third place was another name that you hear a lot, Bowen Brown and Dylan Brock. They got 16.49 pounds. All right, and so that was the West Side. It carried 14 pounds down through about 8 places on it.
Wow.
Then we also had Jason Davis's memorial event out of the boat basin last weekend with the CRPT trail. They got about 26 boats that signed up to fish that. They had a 3 fish limit too, I believe. First place was Mr. Harris at 13.61 pounds. Second was 10.93 for McGee and Gilmore. Third place was Braxton Clements and Todd Howard. They had 10.37 pounds on 3 fish. It was a good event. I believe they told me they raised about $2,600 for the family with that tournament. It was ran real well. That's great prizes that they gave out. But that was the Jason Davis event. We talked about it for a long time, and there's the results of it. Again, if anybody still wants to play catch up on that and help donate something, shoot me a message, and I'll get you in touch with the guys you need to reach out to about it. They're still taking stuff for that.
Good deal.
All right, that was Saturday. Tuesday nighter out of Big Jim's. This wasn't the regular trail event. This was the one of the weeks they did it. So first place was Clinton Bowen Brown again with 18 pounds on 3 fish. Bo Parker and Brian Parker, they had 15 pounds. They didn't even get a check in, and I don't believe. That's 3 fish.
Wow.
So the lake's still real good down there on that creek end and at the mouth of the Chattahoochee. The Thursday nighter, which is the Flint side of the night trail, you want to fish from Eddie's campground north up as far north as you want to fish on the river. My buddy Griffin Long and Dylan Brock again. They had a little over 16 pounds on 3 fish on the Flint, which is a mega sack over there.
Wow.
They also had big fish with 6.54. Second place is Mr. Tony Green and Kristen Darley. They had a little over 10 pounds. So the Flint showed out pretty well too. That was a slower tournament than normal. It was like 107 degrees that day. It was pretty warm.
It's been so hot. Oh man.
Yeah, it's been ridiculous. It was a shame that I was happy yesterday. It was only like 89 degrees.
Oh yeah, that was like paradise. It was.
Yeah, it felt good.
I mean, my weather station at the house has said 107, 105, 100, and that's on a pole, 30 foot high, out of the direct sun. It's pretty accurate. I'm like, oh, so yesterday it said like 85, 86. It's like, man, this is awesome. I can stay outside, run around, wash the boat. And then it started raining, so.
It rained hard. We had one more tournament event we're going to talk about. Brad and Lance Reynolds busted a mega sack yesterday with a little under 30 pounds, from what I gather. That was 5 fish on it. Yeah. Well, you should know, if those two ever show up together, save your boat gas. Just go ahead and sign your check over to them because they're going to take it.
Yeah,
you got Brad and Lance together, they're gonna catch whatever lives in that lake, and it's gonna be the biggest ones that live there. So shout out to them. That's a heck of a sack. It's starting to get late and hot in summer. So good job on that. That's about all the tournament report I got for this week. But like I said, we got a Tuesday and a Thursday nighter coming up. There's some events down at the lake next weekend. And on 4th of July, Monday morning, we're having the Seminole Ramblins event. We're going to run it out of at Ease, the old Jack Wingett's Lunker Lodge. We're going to run it out of there. It's going to be, I'll start registration at 5 a.m. Monday morning, July 4th, and that's Eastern time. I know some of y'all are on the Florida side of the lake listening to this. So 5 a.m. Eastern time, we're going to launch and blast off a safe flight. First come, first serve on your numbers. The earlier you get there, the earlier you get to leave. We're only fishing until 10:30, and we're going to do a 3-fish limit on that as well. It's just getting hot to try to keep 5 fish live in a box. Going to try to do 3 fish, help them out, and make it a little easier than having to catch 5 of them.
Well, plus we want you to be able to go enjoy the rest of your 4th of July with your family. So
exactly.
That way you're only coming out for a couple hours, fish tournament real quick, and then go do the rest of your day and then shoot fireworks and celebrate and all that stuff. So 3 fish in a couple hours is perfect.
Yep, that's exactly the point of it. We want to get out and celebrate and fish and do what we love to do on the 4th of July. But like I said, we want you to have the rest of your day with your family too. So it is it's $55 entrance. That covers your big fish as well. 2 guys to a boat. Kids 13 and under can fish as well. Make a third member of the boat if you want to have them along. Like I said, that covers big fish. That covers the main payouts. We'll pay 1 in 5 boats. Mr. Don over at East says he will be there with breakfast that morning. So y'all come, get you a coffee, get you breakfast, get in there in that pro shop he's got and snag anything up last minute you thought you might need that you didn't get on the way. It's a tongue twister there.
Yep. Perfect time for you to drop off any rod or reels that you need fixed over there. They're now taking Seminole rod and reel repair drop-offs over there. So if you've got some to be rebuilt, drop those off as well. We can get those for you.
Yep. And after the tournament, too, if you lose that big one and get mad and break your rod, drop it off there, and Seminole rod repair will get you fixed up.
That's right. And very well could happen.
All right. What else you got, Chris?
Well, so last week I kind of touched on this, but now that it's launched and all, it's going pretty well. So, y'all, we have launched the Lake Seminole Ramblins store. So it's
oh, yeah, that's right.
That's right. LakeSeminoleRamblins.com. It's our website. We've got a store on there. You can buy T-shirts and flags for the lake house, coffee mugs, little things like that. We're going to expand it as we grow. So if y'all want to help expand the store, hint, hint, go over there and place an order. Also, for a very limited time, and don't know how many of y'all are going to bite on this, but it's there. I have my entire SD card. It's over 2,000 waypoints, trails, obstructions, weird things I've seen. Every single solitary thing on that lake post Hurricane Michael is for sale. That's for a limited time. So guys that have been with me before will tell you that my screen is ridiculous with all of this stuff that I've got. I've got just about every sandbar on the lake outlined and all kind of stuff. So But anyway, we've also got.
It's a good package.
Yeah, you've seen my graph. It's pretty silly.
Yeah, you're intricate with it. I'll say another thing about the Ramblin store. Those flags are sharp, and I'll even put this out there. If I come across a flag on a dock, a Seminole Ramblins flag on a dock, I'll leave you a surprise from Hunting Fishing Depot on there. Pack of jig heads, shaky heads, something like that. So if you get a Lake Seminole Ramblins flag and you put it on one of your docks or somewhere we can see it while we're fishing, we'll hook you up.
Oh yeah, sweeten the deal a little bit there. There's all kind of stuff, and what's cool about the shirts and all is, they're on Comfort Colors tees. So my old lady educated. Yeah, I didn't know anything about them because I'm not a clothes guy. I got T-shirts.
You're a fisherman.
Yeah, I got T-shirts 10 years ago. I still wear, but when we were designing all this stuff, she said, "Oh my God, Comfort Colors! Everything's got to be on Comfort Colors. That's all the good stuff that LSO sells up there. They're all on Comfort Colors." So that's the nice thing about all the apparel, and we also have a Patreon. So this is our other deal. Me and Ryan have been brainstorming on ways, since the fuel is so high, ways to kind of keep you connected with the lake if you can't come fish or whatever it may be. If you need a competitive edge or...
You better get one on this lake.
Right. Insider info. All kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we launched a Patreon, so you can get the link there on LakeSeminoleRamblins.com. We only have, I believe there's 9 spots left for these 2-tier packages. There's 4 overall packages, but the 2 I want to highlight have subscription bait boxes. So once a month you will get a subscription Lake Seminole box. What this is baits that are currently working during that time, and they're not Mickey Mouse baits. So
that's what's tied on our rods.
Right, it's what we're using. So
right now, yeah, whatever was working, what we've been fishing through June, that's what you're gonna get in the box. It's what we're catching them on at the moment, not just something we stumble across.
Yep, and we've made deals with the guys that we really like using their stuff all the time. So Nichols Lures and Country Boy Baits. Country Boy Baits, if y'all hadn't heard about them, they make phenomenal plastics. And it's
what is that pencil worm that I like so much, Chris? That thing is.
Yeah, it's a 10-inch. It's like a shaky head worm. It's called the Mag Fang, like a
the
snake
Mag Fang. I don't know. I can't remember that. That is a bad worm right there. Now, it will actually, on a shaky head. I was fishing up in some shallow water, and it will stand up, just like it'll float the tail up off the bottom, and you give that shaky head just to even breathe on it. That tail's back there quivering and dancing. Man, that is a bad dude. And them bigs flat eat it. You don't let them sit there and swim off with it because you ain't going to get it back. You have to get another one out of the pack.
Oh, absolutely. And see, he uses a special scent, and I call it Mongolian beef. But that's what it smells.
Stink, yeah, they catch fish.
It smells like Chinese takeout to me. And
yeah,
they eat the absolute mess out of it. I mean, it's like a 700-pound man at the Golden Corral just going to town on that thing. They don't drop it. So this isn't a
You
lie.
don't want to leave them on your dash. I'll put it that way. My wife won't get in my truck after I left one of those worms in my dash. So she got in there. She's like, I can't do that. But I tell you what, they flat and bass eat them. They're like the power bait. Like they eat it and they just don't let it go.
Yeah, I don't know what the mailman thinks when he drops it off. Because when I go open the mailbox, it's like, whoo, I open the mailbox and it's just a kick in the face. But last year when they was spawning, I was throwing one of his worms, and it was a real tough bite, but it's going to sound like a tall tale. It ain't now. I was throwing one of his ribbon tails, the poor boys. I love them. 8-inch. It's kind of like an old mustard, but it's a little shorter.
A little shorter, yep.
And I swung and missed on a fish. And I said, okay. So I circled around. I had a customer in the boat. She was throwing a Ned rig. And we circled around and came back down the same sandbar, and she got a bite and finally hooked the fish. So I'm back there, and I'm taking the bait out of the fish's mouth. And I look down, and I see that worm. Now, this had been like 10 minutes. And I said, I didn't give her that worm to throw. Why is this fish got? And I said, oh, wow, this is the same fish. But it was so good, the flavor and the scent. He was still sucking on it like a blow pop, lollipop, Tootsie Roll Pop, whatever. He still had it in its mouth 10 minutes later and ate another bait. So
they're good. Like I said, they're the real deal. You get a lot of those custom pour guys. They make good stuff, but Country Boys they're real deal. When you gave me that pack of worms, I looked at it. I love the profile of it, but watching it in the water, seeing the way fish react to it, it's a really good It's a lot different than a lot of worms these fish are seeing in these ledges right now too.
Right.
It's your typical big straight tail worm in fashion, but it pencils from a fat head down to about 11 inches down and tapers, and you just get you some. The Mag Fang from Country Boy Baits. I promise you won't be disappointed. If you get our Patreon box, who knows, you're liable to get a pack of African Special in there.
Yeah, you're going to get some really good stuff in there, and you're going to get a Nichols Lures product, whatever we're throwing. It could be a spoon, it could be a buzz bait.
Finesse spinner bait.
Yep. Finesse, quote unquote, finesse spinner bait. I mean, anything that they throw is anything they throw. Wow, anything that they manufacture is it's handcrafted and it's phenomenal. And they're right out of Thomasville, Georgia. They're not far.
Made here locally. Yep.
Right. And then the other sponsor for that will be Hunting and Fishing Depot.
They're a local company too.
Yep, and they make some awesome jig heads and other baits as well. They got some secret stuff in the pipe that we're helping them develop, and that's coming out. But so that's
stay tuned. Yeah, we got something pretty good coming. I think it's going to be just right for the niche we're looking for at Seminole.
Yep, and it's going to be in the Seminole box before it goes out to everybody else. So
yep, you'll be the first ones to try it and help us test it out.
But yeah, we have there's 9 spots left, I believe. So you don't want to miss out. You want to hop in there and get your spot secured. It's once a month, and you also get some other perks with it. You get an extra episode. You get some GPS waypoints of where we're catching
some ad-free,
ad-free stuff. But just hop over to our website and check that out. Any little bit that you do helps grow the podcast, helps get us some new equipment. We're really trying to save some money up and get some better microphones, and then start doing this in the studio and not have to rely so much on technology right now. Just keep growing for y'all.
Recordings.
Yeah, everybody that we talk to enjoys the show and begs us to keep doing it. So if y'all want the stuff to improve, just help us, support us, help us out, and we'll continue to bring you this great information and all this. Because Ryan knows as well as I do, this takes a lot of work. I mean, a lot of work to keep up with. Now I see what I don't see how Mr. Jack did this every day. I mean, man.
Yeah, his was live at least, so I mean, he didn't have to do all the editing you do. But,
right, yeah. But still, I mean,
he had to be sharp enough to make it run good on his toes.
Yeah, because he did. Yeah, he did a radio show, and he published it online, and he wrote it for the paper, and I mean, he just did all kind of stuff. So,
man, I remember as a kid listening to him. I'll never forget one cold October night. It was before duck season came in, about 3 weeks before duck season. Next morning, Jack had his ramblings on there, talking about how there were 10,000 ringnecks showed up in front of the lodge. I have no idea if it was true or not, because I was a kid, but I was just sitting there thinking, holy cow, Daddy, we got to go to Wingett's Lodge. All the ducks are there. It was good stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot of good tall tail fishing tails and stuff in there. I mean, like when I caught my first 10 when I was 17 here, and I was in one of his ramblings. And I was so excited when I found out my granddaddy was like, Chris, you in the Ramblins? I saw it and it said 14-year-old Chris Taylor. I said, oh, no, I'm not 14. And I even remember, I mean, it was just such a elaborate story about, you know, my mom and dad don't fish, even though my dad does. And, you know, just all this. He said, well, getting ahead of myself. I seen Mr. Jack next time I saw him. I said, Mr. Jack, you know, I'm not 14, you know, I just turned 18. He said, well, Chris, you know, 14 makes for a way better story. And I said, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right about
That's him. That's him.
I mean, that's why when you go into Bass Pro, if you look up, maybe some people hadn't seen this, but there's a sign over Bass Pro that says, welcome hunters, fishers, and all other liars. All right. So anyway, I'm stop rambling about that. So I talked to a guy the other day that said he was catching them on topwater. I mean, even at like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. So looks like the what we were hoping for has turned back. Looks like we're starting to get a topwater. Have you been hearing folks getting a topwater bite?
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people the last 2 weeks in particular that are finally starting to catch them consistently on a topwater plug. I won't say which one, but I do know one of those big bags we talked about this week was caught almost exclusively on a plug on top.
Yeah.
Well, from what the guy told me at least.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the guy I talked to, he had said thick stuff. You know, they were finally starting to bury back up in the thick stuff. That's what I'd heard from 2 or 3 different folks. They were catching them in the matted up, you know, with the weave hair hanging around that big black slime.
Yeah,
if
it's hard to fish around.
It is, but that's where they were kind of seeing the most activity, and that's I know that's a real broad thing to say, but you know, you can go over to Patreon, then you can kind of get access, and we'll tell you exactly where to go to catch it. We can't have everybody down here with pitchforks because we give away the all the good stuff. But yeah, the topwater bite's picking back up. I started catching some on a frog around topped out stuff. You know, you can still fish the sandbars pretty good because there's not that much grass on them. You can get a bite around there. You know, and then like we talked last week, you can check these ledges. So that's really not my cup of tea. It's more your cup of tea, but
I'm going to go do that in about 2 hours.
Yeah, that sounds
full of water this afternoon.
That sounds fantastic.
Actually. Yep. I'm going to go do that for a little bit. I got a couple ledges I want to check. Go drag that mag fang over. And then I'm going to go throw a topwater, probably a frog for about the last hour.
Yeah. You throwing
see if I can't get in on that.
You doing Carolina rig on those ledges?
Yeah, I'm probably going to throw a Carolina rig. I got something else in mind that I really want to try with that mag fang.
Yeah.
I got, stay tuned. I've got something in the works that might be worth talking about.
Yeah.
Might not catch fish.
You never know though, unless you try it. So
yeah. I've been thinking hard lately. I got something I want to try with it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, don't give away your secrets. Let us know when you actually catch them with that thing. And
I will. I'll let you know. I'm going to throw it around and see. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I've got this week, man.
Cool.
I did forget to mention anyone that comes and fishes the 4th of July event, everybody that signs up will be automatically entered into a $50 gift card from Mr. Don at Addie's campground down there for dinner or to use in the store, whatever you want to use it for.
Oh yeah, that's a really good.
So even if you just register for the tournament, we're going to do the drawing, and like I said, somebody's going to win it too.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do is sweeten the pot a little bit. We're going to throw in $25 gift card to Lake Seminole Outdoors to that as well, because I do have a couple of those left to give away. So we'll do that. It'll be $50 to Eddie's plus $25 to Lake Seminole Outdoors. It'll be a 2-for-1 type deal. So anybody that comes fish that tournament, you will actually get both of those. So let's sweeten that pot a little bit for them.
Yeah, I mean, heck, that's a heck of a value right there. That's more than the entrance fee is. So
yeah, so you might as well
come on out and see us next Monday. Like I said, it's going to be a good time. Going to have good laughs, catch some fish, and like I said, then we'll get to celebrate our great country.
That's right. Well, Ryan, as always, thanks for coming on, and that's enough rambling for us, and we'll ramble at them again next week.
Sounds good, buddy. Talk to you soon.
You've been listening to the Lake Seminole Ramblins podcast. I'm your host, Chris Taylor. Y'all, thanks so much for listening. A big thank you to our sponsors, Lake Seminole Outdoors, Addie's Campground and Marina, Nichols Lures, Hunting and Fishing Depot, Country Boy Baits, Seminole Guide Service, and Seminole Rod and Reel Repair. Remember to head over to our website, www.lakesemiноleramblins.com, and check out our merchandise and our patron memberships. Big shout out to our patron, Jamie. Thank you so much for the support, brother. Until next week, we'll see y'all later. For advertising opportunities, reach out to us via email at LakeSeminoleRamblins@gmail.com.